How do I become more aware of my emotions in my daily life?
You pay attention to them. We are one of the only species, I don't know if there's any other ones, but I know that there are a whole bunch that aren't, who have the capacity to make choice as to where to put your attention. So you have to practice, because you everything pulls your attention, and you go into reaction, or you go to the future, or you go to the past to talk about the model, but you don't make a conscious choice to stay right here, right now, and put your focus on what is happening to you right at this moment. You go into your story. And when you're in your story, then the story becomes your reality. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So how does that make you feel?
That I might be telling myself all kinds of crazy stories that may only partially be true, or maybe not at all.
How about not the word might? How about I am telling
Yeah.
myself stories? Because might is a conditional word which sends you to the future. Okay, so the present moment is I am telling myself stories, right, that send me into la la land, use up all my energy, and when I eventually arrive back at the present random, because now I'm not choosing, you're not choosing, you're exhausted and you're tired and you don't have any energy and you're depleted. So you can choose where to put that attention. You can choose to put it on the stories, or you can choose to take it off the stories and put it on the information from your body. And that's that's the model. That's the model. Everybody who comes to me is in their stories, Tom. You think you're the only one with stories? Actually, actually, most of the time I don't have stories anymore, but last week I was in one. I was in one just like everybody else I coach. And I recognized I had a very interesting experience with that, which is that I recognized that it's really hard to get out, you know, and that you really have to concentrate, and you really have to focus, and you really have to know the difference between what it feels like when you put your attention on your body, listening to the information from your body, versus when you put your attention on the story. It's an entirely different experience. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. I'm not sure how. So when I think about what you're saying, I think about it in the context of sort of a type of meditation while I'm conscious, or well, I mean, you're meditating while you're conscious, but while you're walking around and not in a meditation practice, you're trying to be present and to observe your instead of your thoughts, in this case, your body's language or something to that effect.
Yes, your body is speaking to you all the time, but when you're thinking, look at my hands, Cal. When you're thinking, you move in linear time. Therefore, you're never able to assess the information from your body because you're not present. Okay, so thought by definition takes you out of the present moment, because thought is an abstraction. And it's always about the past, because when you're thinking about something, you've already moved off the present. So you're constantly using the past then to create the future, and you never get in the present. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you, it's a very simple 4-step procedure to get yourself in the present. But before we do that, I want to define 4 terms for you. The first, well, 5 terms. And the first one we're already talking about, which is attention, okay? Attention is focus. And I look at attention as all these little pixels, you know, like on the TV, there's all these millions of pixels, and I wrap my arms around the pixels, and I don't let any out to go into reaction to this, or to go to worry about this, or to feel guilty about this, or to get angry about this, or to judge. I choose where I'm going to put those pixels. Okay, so you have to recognize that you have a capacity that you're not even aware of. Okay, and that is the capacity to choose where to put that attention. And you can do it. Are you human? Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're human, you have the capacity. Okay? Lucky you, you won the lottery. Okay. Okay, so the second term we're going to talk about are feelings. In our culture, feelings have taught us that feelings are bad. They have that, don't smoke kind of thing on them, and says the feelings are bad. They're impulsive and they're histrionic, and if you're a woman, they're premenstrual, but do not use feelings to make decisions about anything. So that's an entirely made up definition by the people who want to ensure that we don't stay self-powered. Okay, what feelings really are information from your body telling you that you have to create an action to get back to homeostasis. And homeostasis means your maximum potential that you can function at as a human. So it's feelings that let you know, and I'll show you how they operate how to do this. Feelings let you know that you have to create an action to get back to your highest potential. So of course, the culture doesn't want you to feel those and use those, because if you did, you wouldn't need 90% of what the culture is telling you need. Okay? So what happens to a feeling when it comes up and it's not paid attention to? It has to find a way to get discharged. So it creates a thought, and it piggybacks itself onto a thought. Look at my hands, Tal. It takes a thought and the feeling is piggybacked on it like a horseback rider on a horse, and it gets discharged that way. The problem is, once you're in a thought, you're no longer in the present moment. So feelings happen in the present moment, but to get discharged, they create a thought, piggyback and get discharged through the thought, but you lose your capacity to get information from them because you're already not in the present moment. Okay, so what is thought? When we think about something, it is always an abstraction, but we believe that thought is just that. It's an abstract thought. Most of the thoughts that most people have that are walking around today, their thoughts are created by these feelings. So it's a two-part, like a boxer 1-2 punch. A feeling has two components: a thought component and a feeling component. Okay, and the way that you know that is that you stop listening, you stop paying attention. Again, there's that heavy-duty word intention. You stop putting your attention on the content of the thought, and you start listening to the structure of the thought, how the thought was created. So let's say, what if I am too afraid to move to Florida? Okay, that's 10 words, right? Right. But if you so if you're listening to the content, oh, well, I'm afraid because I don't have a job, and I don't know this, and I don't know this, and I'm not sure, and I should be going somewhere else. That's the whole thought story. Okay. But if you listen to how the thought is created, it is, what if I am afraid to move to Florida? 9 words. Okay. So we're going to pick out the time-space words, okay? The other 2 words that I wanted to talk to you about before we got into the model is time and space. So basically, feelings are information that let you know that you have to act on a situation to get back to homeostasis. But feelings have been labeled bad, so they have to be discharged by creating a thought. The thought takes us out of the present moment. And so there are 2 components to a thought: the feeling and the thought. So how do we know what the feeling is? We shift from the content of the thought to the structure of the thought, and we look for the time-space words. Okay? So if you're going to make a chart, make 4 columns. So you got columns on your little paper that you're writing on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first column is future. Second column is past. That's the timeline, and the space line is, where do we put our attention? Outside of ourselves or inside of ourselves? Okay, so the third column is outside of ourselves, and the fourth column is inside of ourselves. Okay, you got it?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the words in our language that let us know we're in the future? What if, should, always, might. Okay, one of your favorites. Well, you already used it a couple of times. I don't listen to what somebody says. I only listen to where what they say take them in time and space. Okay. So now we're doing past, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. did, was. Okay, any past tense, nouns or verbs. Okay, that's the timeline. The space line is out or in. So when you're in, it's all about your capacity to listen to the information. That would be the natural way. But when we go in thought, it's always into negative self-talk. Okay, so in is always, when it's a thought, it's always negative self-talk. It's not listening to the information. And when it's out, it's always about other people and things. So he, she, they, the government, the vaccine, the riots, the whatever it is. Okay, it's out there, it's not in here. Okay, so you got it?
Sure.
Okay, so there's 4 places you can go. 1, 2 on the timeline and 2 in the space line. Okay, so and now you know about time and space for the purposes of this model. Okay, so the feeling comes there. Oh, let me tell you, there are 3 basic feelings. Okay, all of which the culture has charged negatively. The first one is anxiety. Anxiety is a great feeling because it tells you you're losing your focus. That's what it would say in English. You're losing your focus. Okay, frustration says, make a different choice. I've done this already 1,000 times, time to make a different choice. And sadness is, you got to close it. Got to close it. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Okay. So let me tell you where they sit in your body, and then we'll put it all together. Anxiety sits in the pit of your stomach and is experienced as these butterflies. Okay. Frustration sits in your neck and shoulder area, and it is experienced as tension, right?
That's frustration.
That's frustration. You got it.
I got a lot of that apparently.
Right, a lot of that. We all have a lot of all of them, but right now we're just trying to get a sense of a geography of where they're sitting in our body. Okay, so we have anxiety, frustration, and sadness. Sadness sits right in your heart. Okay, so all right, so let's take that thought. What if I am too afraid to move to Florida? Okay, let's just say that thought. Okay, that's a thought that somebody might have. Correct? Okay, so listen to the words. What if? Bingo. You don't even have to go any further because where are you when you're doing what if? Look at your list.
Yeah, what if is the future, right?
Correct amount. Hey, good. Okay, so now you know where you are. So now you shifted from the stupid content of whatever the content is that you're concerned about, and now you know, okay, I'm in the future. What is the feeling that when it creates a thought takes us into the future? The feeling is anxiety. Okay, so anxiety sits where in your stomach, and there's all these butterflies, right? All right, so this is what's gonna happen. So what if I'm too afraid to go to Florida? So then you stop thinking about that story. You hear what if, aha, I'm in the future. Now I'm going to shift to the feeling, which is anxiety, okay? And then you're going to take your attention, the pixels, and you're going to put it all on your butterflies. Okay? You're going to take the attention, take it off the story. Now you know you're in the future, and you're going to put it on the butterflies. So I'm going to ask you, just play with me on this one, which just, so close your eyes and tell me, how many butterflies are there?
3.
Okay, what colors are they?
Blue, red, orange, yellow.
That's 4.
Well, some of them are multicolored.
Oh, okay, good. You got me. Okay, so some of them are multicolored, but there were 3 of them. Okay.
They do share some colors though, so.
Okay, good. Do they have dots on them?
Yes.
Okay, are they on branches?
No, they're flying in the air.
Can you hear the wings flapping or no?
No.
Okay, but you know that they're flying, you can sense that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now open your eyes and tell me, where are you? You're here, listening to the butterflies. You're not worrying about whether you should go to Florida, correct? Right. Okay. So you just made a huge shift. You went from the future to the present moment. Did you feel the shift?
Yes.
Okay, good. And we didn't even do it. I mean, it wasn't really happening. We created the story. We created the shift. But you can still feel it. It's a different feeling when you're inside yourself versus when you're in the future, or you're in the past, or you're focused on other people and things, or you're doing negative self-talk. Okay, so let me stop right here and just ask you, how do you feel?
I feel relatively present.
Very, very good. What is the operational definition of relatively?
Relatively is, I guess, it's a future tense, isn't it?
No, it's not. It just is. It's not. I am.
Yes. Well,
It's
because
a wobbly thing. It's relative. You can wiggle out of that one.
well, I think the reason I use relatively there and not to use excuses or anything is just that I think that I'm shifting as we're conversing. There's presentness, and then it really does remind me of meditation in a lot of ways, because you get distracted by your thoughts, which bring you out of the present.
But I don't
But
want.
then, but
Okay,
then you remember that you're supposed to be present, so you bring yourself back to the moment of presentness.
I want you. But in meditation, you're stopping and you're doing meditation.
Right.
This methodology that I'm going to teach you, you can do while you're walking around, while you're taking the butt. You don't have to stop and close your eyes and meditate, okay? Because everybody says they don't have enough time to do that. Do you know what I mean? But this you can do ongoing all the time in your life. Okay, so it has the same function. I used to meditate, and people ask me, "Do you meditate, Faye?" And I said, "No, I live meditation. I don't do meditation." You know what I mean? Because I don't create thoughts that take me out of the present moment. When I'm thinking, which is very rare, I am thinking a pure thought about a deliberate issue that I want to contemplate about. Right? So it's very different, a pure thought from a feeling thought. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is, you're not breathing, so take a deep breath and blow it out. And one more. And blow it out. And feel yourself present. It's a very different feeling. There's no noise up here. It's all over here. It's easy, it's natural, because we are supposed to be listening to our bodies. It's giving us some information ongoing all the time. Okay? Right?
Yes.
So tell me what you're feeling now.
Anxiety that I'm not doing it right.
Anxiety that you're not doing it right, okay?
I'm not being present enough, let's say.
You're either present or you're not. It's like having being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you can't be a little pregnant. Okay, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. It's a 0-1 thing. You're either present or you're not. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when you're present, your mind is quiet, and you're right here, talking to me, being with me, focusing on what is happening in this moment, you and me. Got it? Are you here?
I am.
I am. See, you didn't say I'm relatively, I am. You said I am. And that the being present, the words for being present are I am. Am is a present tense verb that lets you know you're in the now, and I is a pronoun that lets you know your attention is focused internally inside you. So the words for present moment living are I am. And you just said them naturally. So how beautiful is that?
Very.
Very beautiful. And can you sense your energy level being calmer and not so frenetic? Yes. Good. Very good. So just sit with it for a second, because then I'm going to give you the 4 steps. Okay. And then I'm going to show you how to use them And then I'm going to show you how to practice. Okay. Because being emotionally healthy, Tal, is not getting rid of these things like affective schizoid disorder or depression or anxiety or borderline. Okay. It's not that. It's a place, and you're in it right now. Okay? You're in the place where all of that stuff doesn't exist, because it all exists in your, can I curse? It all exists in your fucking head. So, if we can quiet your mind and you can listen to your body and be deliberate about thinking, because pure thought is amazing. It's, it's when Einstein does thought experiments, and it's when I thought experiments, and it's when I had an experience of non-duality a couple of months ago in my kitchen. So when you're deliberately thinking, it's very different than when you're thinking to discharge a feeling. Right? You got it? Okay. So let's do the 4 steps. Okay. The first step, numero uno. So write it down. Number 1.
Number 1.
Watch your thoughts. Don't become them. Watch them like you do in meditation. Okay? Okay. Then number 2, shift your attention to the content of the thought, from the content, to the structure. How the actual, what are the words? Because when I was in high school, I took grammar, okay? For some reason, I had grammar in like 9th grade. I don't know why we had it there, but we had it. And that's when I cut that class and then had pizza and an orange soda because I was so stupidly bored. Okay, but if they would have told me that tenses and pronouns orient you in time and space, I might have stayed. Okay, but none of that stuff went on in school. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So I had my pizza and my orange soda.
They're not going to teach you anything useful in school, right?
Exactly. So, but what you're looking for is the grammar. You're looking for the tenses, you're looking for the pronouns, you're looking for the actual way that the thought is created. Because that will let you know where you are in time and space and let you know what feeling you piggybacked. So we got to anxiety creates feelings of the future, right? Okay, well, let's do the other 2. Sadness, stop the 1 to 4. Go to sadness, creates thoughts about the past. And okay, so anxiety creates thoughts about the future and is experienced as worry. Okay, anxiety, piggybacked on a thought, that combo of a feeling and a thought is worry. Now we're going to do sadness, not paid attention to, piggybacks on a thought, and it takes you to the past, and that's guilt. Have any of that? Okay. So that's the timeline. You got it? The space line is frustration. All of it is frustration, in and out. Frustration piggybacked onto a thought takes you to other people and things, and the words are he, she, they, the vaccine, the government, whatever, and is experienced as anger. Okay? And anger has some henchmen, and they are judgments, comparisons, and negations. Okay? And when that frustration goes in, it goes to negative self-talk. Okay? So once you shift from the content of the thought to the structure of the thought, then you know what once you know where you are in time and space, you know what feeling you need to pay attention to. Very simple, right? So the 2 steps that we did is watch your thoughts, shift your attention from the content of the thought to the structure. Once you know where you are in time and space, you put your attention on the feeling, just like we did on the butterflies, right? Okay, why do you put the attention on the feeling? Because there's a very simple physics principle that says, just listen, All bodies in motion stay in motion, all bodies at rest stay at rest until a force is exerted on it. Okay? So once you pay attention, which is the force, to the feeling, it jumpstarts the superior intelligence of the body. And just like the body knows how to heal a cut, right? It knows how, if it's anxiety, to recalibrate you to the present. If it's frustration, it allows you to make a different choice. And if it's sadness, it allows you to close the experience, which is what we talked about before. Okay? You still with me, or are you overwhelmed a little?
I'm catching up. Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, good. Take a deep breath. And if you need to stop, you need to ask me a question, please do that. Okay? Because it's really so simple. Because Einstein said, if you can't make it simple, you don't really get it. Okay, so the model is very simple. What's hard about the model is it goes against every belief system you've ever had in your entire life. So you have to blow up the belief systems. Okay, but that's another story. First, what we want to do today is just get the model down so that you can practice. Right? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay, good. Can you operationally define good for me, please?
I feel present and I'm enjoying the things that you're having to say.
Hey,
They're useful.
very practical. I'm in a session. Can I call you at 6? Is that good? Okay, I love you, bud. Okay, so I'm glad that you're getting this, because this will change your life. Okay, it's as simple as that. If you can put your attention on the information from your body and not on the stories, you will be able to trust your intuition, and you will be able to make choices and create actions, which is what I do all the time. Okay, because life is to be lived. It's not to be thought about. It's not to be analyzed. It's not to be worried about. It's not to be angry at. It's to be lived. Because when you live, you have an experience and you learn all the time. You learn that if you succeed in the experience, you already knew that. And if you didn't succeed in the experience, you learned something in the experience. So you can't lose in this game. There's no losing here. Okay? The loss is only if you don't create actions. Right? If all the energy goes into your head. Do you get that?
Sure.
Okay. So we're back to the 4 steps. What's the first one? Watch your thoughts. The second one is shift your attention from the content of the thought to the structure, how the actual thought is created, so that you can find out where you are in time and space using tenses and pronouns. Okay. Once you know where you are, then you put, number 3 is you put your attention on the feeling. Got that? Then number 4, that jump starts the superior intelligence of the body, and just let the body do its thing. Because just like on Tuesday you get a cut, and on Saturday the cut is healed, you don't do anything. You just put a little Band-Aid on so that you don't bump it again. You don't do anything but put attention on the feeling, and the body does the rest. There's this wonderful book called The Inner Reaches of Outer Space, in which the author postulates that we are as vast from the skin inward as the universe is from the skin outward. So we have touched 1,000,000th gazillionth of what we have inside. All right? This at least allows you to access that place. All right? Good. So talk to me about the model. Does it make sense? Do you experience the difference between a feeling and a feeling thought, and a feeling thought and a pure thought?
I'm not sure I know the distinctions well enough yet, but I think I'll listen to this again and
Don't
no, I will listen to this again.
good.
Yeah, yes. Language definitely matters. I think
Good catch, though. You're
Yeah.
starting to become aware of what you're saying. Most people have no idea what they're saying. Honest to goodness, they have no idea. I say to them, instead of using the word think, use the word feel. Okay. They say, okay, I'll do that. The next sentence, I think.
Yeah. I was
Because,
just about to do it too.
yes, all right, exactly. And you'll do it again.
Yeah.
Because until you get awareness that everything that you say means something.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
Right? Doesn't it make sense? I love that you're saying that you make sense and that you're not saying you understand. Because if you understand, it goes cognitive. If you make sense, it goes into your senses.
Mm.
So very good use of the language there.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so feelings are our best friends. They are information that lets us know that we have to pay attention to them so they can jumpstart the superior intelligence of the body to create the actions that are going to get us back to present moment and to the place where we are functioning at our full potential. So why do you think that the culture has charged them negatively so that we can't be that? So that we're
Advertisers could sell you things and make you feel like you're lacking.
That's exactly right. And pharmacists can sell you pills, and lawyers can sell you titles, and doctors can sell you medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole idea is once you understand that things are not absolute but are relative, okay, and that, for example, the way that I got to this whole model, which is understanding that time and space are relative, that that an hour is not an hour. An hour is as long as you want it to be. In linear time, it's an hour, but you can accomplish a whole day in an hour if you know how to expand time. If you know how to collapse time, you can go to the dentist, and when you get out of the dentist, then it's over because you went to visit Mars or wherever you went to visit, and it just collapsed the amount of time. Right? So you chose at that moment not to be present to that experience. You see what I mean? So you have attention. Do you remember the movie Star Trek, or what? It had to be Star Trek Wars. No, not Star Trek. What's the other one? Star Wars, where he had his sword, and his sword was the Force, right? Our force, that green sword, right? You can see it in your mind. You can all see it. Our force is our attention. We can do with it what we want. We can put it, when we went to school in first grade, right? Our very first spelling test, right? Remember it? I got 8 right and 2 wrong. Okay, what did the teacher focus on?
2 wrong, yeah.
Did she ever focus on the 8 right? No. All she did was focus on the 2 wrong and told me that I didn't study hard enough. And I called my parents and said, why isn't she studying? Why didn't she get them all right? And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, Never once did she focus on, hey, you got 8 right, and you only got 1 letter wrong in each of the 2 words you got wrong. You got 2 letters right and 1 little one wrong. Never reframe it in a way that you look at what you choose to look at. You experience? So you have to begin to look at what it is that you are looking at. And are you choosing to look at it? What does that mean? Jason just did something to me.
He was saying 2 minutes left.
Oh, we have 2 minutes left? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have enough to practice with?
I think I do.
No. What did you say?
Hey.
Oh.
I have enough to work with here. Yeah, for sure. And I may have more questions. I will have more questions.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
I firmly believe on attention being our power.
Of course.
I've actually, if I show you in my notes, this is something that I've written, that I'm like, attention is this thing. This is what we have in life. And to what you were saying about our brains can be very powerful, our minds rather. Like there's a story of they sped up the clock in this room, with an experiment making people wait,
Yeah.
and the clock was moving at double time, and these people actually were very hungry by 10 a.m. because they thought it was 1 p.m. They thought it was lunchtime.
Exactly. So because we have to stop, I usually end with the following question. What was your fantasy before coming into this session about what it was going to be like versus what's the reality of having spent almost an hour with me?
I'll be frank, I did not have a lot of expectations.
Okay.
The result is practical guidance or practical use value of how I could pay attention to my language that I tell myself, not even what I use out loud necessarily.
No, that's a secondary gain right there. But the
Yeah.
primary gain is as long as the stories,
Intern.
yeah, as long as the stories stay in your head, they become mountains. Once you can shift attention to the time and space location and come back to the feeling, they don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
Really.
Interesting.
So it was a pleasure to work with you. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I hope you got, I hope you got something to practice on and write questions out, and we'll talk about them again on the next time.
Thank you, Faye. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you too. Namaste.